In most of the world, when a bowl breaks, its story ends. You sweep up the pieces, throw them away, and buy a new one. But in Japan, there are bowls that became more valuable after they broke. Bowls that tea masters treasured for centuries, not despite their cracks, but because of them. How does something broken become more precious than something whole? The answer is a repair technique with a 500-year history. And hidden inside that technique is a way of thinking about damage. About your damage that most of the world has never been taught. This is the story of Kintsugi. Long before there was a name for it, Japan already had the habit. Archaeologists have found pottery from the Jomon period, coated and mended with natural lacquer, dating back 7,000 years or more. Even the earliest people on this archipelago, it seems, already believed a broken vessel was worth saving. Centuries later, in the Heian period, artisans began sprinkling gold and silver powder onto lacquer to paint delicate patterns, onto swords and boxes. This craft, maki-e, had nothing to do with repair. It was pure decoration. But it planted an idea. Gold could turn a lacquered surface into something worth admiring. Someone eventually would connect that idea to a crack. That someone, the story goes, was connected to a shogun named Ashikaga, Yoshimasa, and his favorite tea bowl, a precious celadon piece from China. One day, the bowl was found to have cracked. He sent it back to China, asking for a replacement. But the answer that returned was, in effect, bowls this fine are no longer made. Instead, Chinese craftsmen repaired the crack with metal staples and sent it home. The staples looked like little locusts clinging to the surface. So the bowl was named Bakōhan, the locust clamp. It still exists today, designated an important cultural property of Japan. But here is the moment that matters. Japanese craftsmen looked at those staples and thought, functional, yes, but this bowl deserves better. We can give it something more than a fix. Around the same time, a tea master named Murata Jukō was quietly changing what beauty meant in the tea room. The fashion of his era was flawless. Imported porcelain, displayed like trophies. Jukō turned away from it. He began choosing plain, humble, irregular bowls instead. Bowls that looked closer to something handmade than something perfect. He is remembered as telling his students that the moon, glimpsed through drifting clouds, moves the heart more than the moon seen whole and clear. In other words, something short of complete could be more beautiful than something finished. That single shift in taste is what made a crack, of all things, thinkable. As an ornament rather than a flaw. Japan already had a highly developed craft of urushi, natural lacquer used for centuries to coat and join wood and ceramics. With Jukō's shift in taste as fertile ground, craftsmen began repairing broken pottery with that same lacquer, then dusting the seams with the powdered gold. That maki-e had already made familiar. This is Kintsugi-kin, gold. Tsugi, joining. Golden joinery. Think about what this choice means. When something precious breaks, we normally see two roads. Throw it away, or repair it so well that nobody can tell. Hide the damage or erase the object. Kintsugi is a third road. The crack is not hidden. It is not erased. It is traced carefully, patiently in gold. The repair announces the break this happened. Right here, along this line. And we decided this moment in the bowl's life deserves to shine. A century or so later, an artist named Honami Kōetsu took this third road even further. One of his tea bowls cracked by accident. Inside the kiln, by any normal measure, a failure. Instead of discarding it, Kōetsu looked closely at the shape. The crack had taken and chose to celebrate it. He repaired it with gold and gave it a name, Seppo Snow Peak. The white glaze became snow-capped mountains. The golden crack, sunlit meltwater running down the slope in spring. It survives today, designated an important cultural property. An accident in his hands became a landscape. When peace finally settled over Japan in the Edo period, this taste spread far beyond the shogun's tea room. Tea culture reached ordinary townspeople, and with it, a demand for repair. But the Gold Road was not equally open to everyone. Wealthy merchants and tea masters could afford true kintsugi, patient and gold-dusted. Most people could not, and turned to a cheaper method, using powdered glass instead. The gold seam, in other words, was never just decoration. It was, quite literally, an investment of care that not everyone could make, which only sharpened what it meant when someone could. Then, in the 19th century, Japan opened its ports, and cheap, beautiful. Western porcelain and glass began arriving by the shipload. The old habit of repairing what broke quietly gave way to a new one. If it breaks, simply buy another. As chemical glue became common, the slow, patient work of lacquer repair started to disappear from ordinary households. It did not vanish completely. In the quiet of tea rooms and in the hands of art conservators, it kept being practiced. And in the 21st century, as more people began to question a world of constant replacement, Kintsugi quietly resurfaced not just as a craft, but as a philosophy people all over the world reach for when something in their own life is broken. There is one honest complication worth naming. Today, some people practice a faster version of Kintsugi, using synthetic resin instead of real lacquer, finished in an afternoon instead of months. It looks similar, but something is missing the waiting. The real thing cannot be rushed. Real lacquer cures slowly, in humidity, layer by layer, because there is no shortcut to bringing something back to life. Why would anyone choose the slow road when a fast one exists? To understand it, you need to know what Japanese people actually feel when they look at a real Kintsugi bowl. In a world that often demands flawless perfection, it is easy to believe that any flaw lowers value. We are taught to fix, to airbrush, and to hide our mistakes before anyone notices. But there is an older, quieter instinct that something marked, weathered, or irregular can carry its own profound beauty. A completely flawless object is closed. It needs nothing from you. An imperfect object is open. It leaves room for your affection. This asks us to redefine what whole even means. Most people assume wholeness means having no chips, no cracks, nothing missing. But Kintsugi suggests something else. That true wholeness comes from holding everything together, not from having nothing to hold. The light and the shadow, the strength and the weakness, the years that went well and the ones that broke you a little. A bowl becomes whole again, not when its crack disappears, but when the crack is finally included. That is the eye. But Kintsugi adds something more: the hand. To repair in this tradition is not simply to fix. It is closer to tsunagu, inochi, connecting a life, letting it continue rather than end. Some craftspeople speak of the work as breathing life back into the piece, or even placing something like a soul into it, tamashi wo komeru. A tool that is cared for, maintained, mended again and again over the years, comes to feel less like an object and more like something you are living with. And here is something particular to Japan. People often look at a finished piece and try to read something in it. The hand that made it, the care that went into it, even the state of mind of the craftsperson on that day. The work has what we might call an expression in its face, and that face tells a quiet story about how it was made and by whom, and with how much care. When you look at a Kintsugi bowl, part of what you are reading is exactly this. Not just gold on ceramic, but the patience of someone who refused to give up on it. The repair took weeks, sometimes months, because giving it time was part of the care itself. You are looking at devotion made visible. There is a word in Japanese for treating a wound, teat. It is written with two characters, hand and apply. To heal, literally, is to place a hand on it, not to look away, not to simply wait for time to pass, to turn toward the broken place and place your hands on it, patiently, without rushing, the way a craftsperson works with lacquer. Hold on to that word, because now we leave the world of pottery. You have an expression too. In 2021, at the closing ceremony of the Tokyo Paralympic Games, the president of the International Paralympic Committee introduced Kintsugi to the world. He described it as a way of thinking in which the imperfections we all carry are not something to hide, but something to accept and to treasure. Think about that stage. Athletes who have overcome immense challenges, living with scars and visible histories that the world so often misunderstands. Honored on a global stage through the image of a bowl repaired in gold. They were celebrated not because they were flawless, but because their resilience made them magnificent. The word Kintsugi has since entered English dictionaries. The idea is no longer only Japanese. Perhaps it was never meant to be, because everyone has cracks. A failure we still think about at night. A relationship that broke and never quite mended. A chapter we edit out when we tell our story. And the world usually offers us the same two roads we saw with the bowl. Throw it away, pretend it never happened. Or repair it, invisibly move on so completely that no one, including ourselves, can see the line. But we know quietly that neither road really heals. A wound we refuse to look at does not disappear. It waits, like broken pieces kept in the back of a cupboard. Kintsugi offers the third road here too. Not time heals all wounds, that is only waiting. The Kintsugi way is Teate, turning toward the crack and placing your hands on it. Sitting with what happened, the way a craftsperson sits with the broken pieces, not rushing it. Giving it real time, attended time, and slowly answering it with care what it taught you, what it made you notice, who you became on the other side of it. This is not a fast process, and it is not always a private one. Sometimes healing happens quietly, alone, the way lacquer cures in stillness. And sometimes it happens because someone else refused to give up on us, a friend, a family member, a stranger who simply stayed. Kintsugi, after all, is rarely done by the bowl itself. Someone else's hands are usually the ones holding the pieces together while they set. Healing, like repair, is often something we do with others, not only alone. The same is true when the crack runs through a relationship, rather than through us alone. Our instinct when a bond breaks is usually to try to put it back exactly as it was, to pretend the crack never happened. But a Kintsugi bowl is never restored to its original state. It is rebuilt into something new, the break included. Two people repairing a friendship or a family tie, quietly, patiently, honestly, are not turning back the clock. They are making something that did not exist before. A bond that has been tended to and is, in its own way, stronger along the seam. The gold line on a bowl does not mean this bowl broke. It means this bowl was tended to. Someone faced the break and answered it with care, and refused to give up until it was whole again. Not the same as before, but whole in a new way. On a person, the same line reads, "I did not look away. I placed my hands on it. I did not give up. And I am still here, not in spite of the crack, but carrying it in gold." Here's the part worth being honest about. Kintsugi does not ask us to admire the crack. It does not ask you to look at your worst year and call it beautiful. It asks something smaller and harder: do not abandon what is cracked. You do not have to love your scars to tend to them. So here is a small, quiet practice only if you feel ready. This week, bring to mind one crack you have been keeping in the cupboard. You do not need to tell anyone. Just sit with it for a moment. The way a craftsperson sits with the pieces without rushing. And then, gently, try to name one thing. Just one that exists in you today because of it. A strength, a kindness, a knowing. That is your first line of gold. When a Kintsugi repair is finished, the bowl does not go into a glass case. It goes back to the table. It holds tea again. It is used and touched and lived with. Because the repair was never about preserving the past. It was about returning the bowl to life. People and bowls are not so different. Breaking is not the end. Something precious, tended to with patience and care, can live again. Your story deserves the same care. Not a glass case, a table. If you would like to keep exploring the ideas at the heart of Japanese culture, the ones that rarely translate, that is what this channel is for. Next time, the strange gods of Japan and what a famous animated film never explained.